Hello, friends, and thank you for joining me on another episode of True Crime Past and Present. Today, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and go through the interview, the only interview Trizelle and Jacqueline West gave, and we're going to go through it and decipher it for ourselves. What their body language says, what my opinion is on what they're trying to say, and see if there's anything else, any new clues that we can get from this interview. I know a lot of other creators have gone through it, but I want to go through it myself, um, just to see if there's anything else that we missed. Okay. Um, all right. So let's go ahead and start.
We just want to thank everyone in the community for all the support we've seen. We've felt so helpless, and seeing everybody out here really looking and helping out really means a lot.
So, tell us what happened the night that Truth went
Okay.
From our yard.
So first thing I want to point out, before they even really get into the story of what quote unquote happened, again, these are my opinions and my thoughts that I'm going to be sharing. But I don't know if you guys heard Trizelle. He was like breathing hard, kind of like when you are trying to get ready for something and you like, take those huffs and puffs right before you get into it. Kind of like, how can I say this? Like if you're in the gym and let's say you're going to go ahead and tackle the stairs today and you take that huff and puff, go back and listen to that. I've heard it quite a few times when I was reviewing the video today. And I'm going to go ahead and link the original video in the bottom for those of you that want to watch it without my commentary. Okay, here we go.
Okay. It was cold. I was gonna make a fire. There's a lot of wood in this area right here next to our house. I opened up the back gate. I'm throwing wood, bringing it inside the house. My wife's inside. She was actually wrapping gifts, so we thought it was a good idea that our youngest two would go outside and play with chalk on the back patio.
Okay, I'm also going to note here his hand position and the rocking of Jacqueline, rocking herself, soothing herself. Um, and in my opinion, she's really going through the story in her mind, kind of like when you're getting ready for, let's say, a test and you're trying to remember. At least for myself, that's what I would do. I would kind of like swing or have some type of hand movement so I can remember certain keywords or certain answers. Um, again, my opinion. Let's go ahead and continue.
Do not let them go on the dirt in the backyard and keep them close. They was playing with chalk, and I came in the house. I saw them there. In one house, I came back out. I didn't see them now. I immediately went back in, asked my wife, "Did you see the boys?"
Another thing that I'm noticing, and again, I'm right now a lot of the things that are standing out are not exactly the words, but are more of body movement, breathing, and hand gestures. And if you can hear it in his voice is trembling a little bit. I don't know if it's because he's nervous, um, or what, but there's a little trembling in his voice. Let's continue.
She said, "No, they should be outside playing with chalk." I said, "Well, I didn't see them, so I came back outside and I started searching my backyard. I searched the whole thing. I realized that I left the gate open and I panicked, came inside the house, searched the house, me and my wife. Once that didn't pan out, I got in the van. I looked down the street, both directions. It was getting dark, getting cold, and I got in the van and I hit a bunch of corners. I went down this street. I turned my light on. I searched. I called their names. Talked to a gentleman on the street on the other side.
So this is interesting, and this is something that I've had this question for a while is he says that when he was driving around, he ran into a gentleman. And I've searched to see if any other creator has found or this gentleman or this neighbor that he ran into. I haven't had any luck finding it, but if any of you guys know who this neighbor is or if they've given an interview, go ahead and comment down below and see if you have that information. It's just interesting to me that if there hasn't been somebody coming out kind of like in his defense, then did he really run into a neighbor and asked and did all this that he's saying, right? I'm also going to go ahead and recommend you guys look at AB News Crew and AB Watchmen. They have great commentary and great video footage of neighbors, and they go really in depth in this. But in one of the videos from AB Watchmen, he has a video of the neighbor where it doesn't show Trizelle and Jacqueline both going out and frantically looking. It looks like they're just, casually looking around. Again, my opinion, quote unquote, looking the part. I'm going to go ahead and link that video below as well. Let's continue.
Over there, he didn't see me. So then I came home and I told my wife we need to call the cops. It's getting dark and I need help. We gotta get going. So I called the cops. Cops came. First thing they did was tell us to stay in the house so they can get a hold of us. And they had us just sitting there and we wanted to keep searching. But everybody came out in droves. And I wanted to thank you guys that night, but we couldn't go outside.
The cops told us the best are out here.
The best are out here searching.
So from this point on, one of the things I also noted is the vocabulary he uses. So, for example, here he used the word droves. It's not a very common word to use to describe the masses, or just, and it makes me wonder if this statement was pre-written and pre-rehearsed and they were trying to kind of like go through the thesaurus and see what words they can throw in there to to sound a little more official. Again, just my opinion. Just that word itself, droves. I mean, and then another interesting note is that the 911 phone call from Jacqueline has not been released. And I think once it is, it would be very, very telling for us. Let's continue.
And we appreciate it, and nobody ever could tell, we could never talk to anybody. And that was the issue.
We just want to thank everybody.
We really want to
And,
thank you guys.
Please, if anybody has seen them, please call, let somebody know.
It called the cops, call the city police department. Call them and let them know what you've seen, if you see anything. Our boys, they are going to be rambunctious, okay? They are going to be here in this area. And I really would like to go into houses, but it's not because I want to invade people's privacy.
So I know he mentions that he wants to go in the houses. And in my opinion, right, if I'm a neighborly person, if I'm a person that is friendly to my neighbors, then I would go over there and knock and say, hey, Mr. Smith, have you seen, my little baby around here? I'm looking for him. Or have you heard them? Or, you know what I mean? So it kind of makes me, it kind of goes into play that they were very secluded. They were very, I think one of the neighbors had mentioned that they didn't even notice children in the house. Um, so, just food for thought. Like, if you really, or even if you were not neighborly enough, why not go yourself and knock on those doors and say, hey, have you seen my child so and so or my child so and so, right? I would think. In addition, going back a little bit, um, Jacqueline, she made a statement as in, go ahead and call the cops, trying to, like, how can I explain this? Trying to say, like, okay, we said what we said, now we need to move on to the next, or we gotta leave, right? Let's continue. Just my opinion.
Just want to know if
Make
they
sure.
make sure. That's it. Because I don't. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. If you got any questions.
Oh no, you're good.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say, this is the first time we're hearing from you guys, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I can't even fathom it. For you guys, for people who are thinking that there's some kind of foul play involved, we just spoke to the biological mother. She says she had a conversation with you guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved. That she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly the point. And if we can find our babies, then guess what? That's no. And that's all I want is to find our babies. That's it. And I talked to her this morning, and I really wanted to tell her that I am completely sorry because we were entrusted.
So he said that he talked to the bio mom this morning and that he really wanted to tell her that. So I wonder what was said. Why didn't he have a chance to tell her? I mean, did he shut the door in her face? Was she yelling at them? I mean, why not tell her right there and there, sorry, we can't find your kids or whatnot. But I guess, if we look at it in a different way, they are the legal adoptive parents. So question is, do they really need to give bio parent any information? It's my understanding that once an adoption case is closed, bio parents completely lose all parental rights. So, it just makes me wonder the statement that he said. Let's continue.
With her children, and they came to us, and they became our children. We named them, and they are our children, and so we want them back. So please, if y'all could get back on what you guys are doing, we should be able to get a hold of somebody. But they took all of our tech, so they wanted to, I guess, just rule us out, which makes sense. That's part of the investigation.
So another comparison that I'm making here, where he's basically telling or asking the reporters, go back to your reporting and, help us find the boys. Now, if we compare that reaction to the parents of Summer Wells, and I'm comparing them because this couple looks younger, much younger than the Summer Wells parents. And they were able to figure out Facebook and YouTube and all these other social media platforms where the father posted all these pictures of Summer, and and his statement in Don Wells' statement, he was using Facebook and social media as a tool to find her. So I'm just wondering if this couple is, just by looking at them, very more younger and must be more tech savvy than the other family. Why not them go onto social media and ask for help? Continue.
So that's pretty much it.
Have you guys, you talked to the police all last night.
Yes.
What So you guys willfully gave them your
Everything.
technology,
Yes,
the car.
yes.
Did they get it? How did they get a search warrant? Did you
I,
guys?
I,
Oh, no
I don't see
idea.
why they got one, but they got one. We
Yeah,
would
they
have let them
didn't
take
need one,
anything.
but
We would have let them take everything. We let them come in and search with us. We asked them to come do that.
What did they take?
Just tech, and that's it. Like our phones.
From the house, though, did they?
Oh well, I guess should I answer that or?
Answer it to us, yeah.
Okay, so into the okay, and I guess I don't even know.
I see. Yeah, we seriously felt like we needed to be out here. We did. Uh, Again, we were told the best are out here looking already. Just to stay put. They have more questions.
Again, looking at a parent's perspective, it's like no cop, nobody's gonna tell me to stand here and wait. I'm gonna go out there and look for my kids, right? In my opinion. But they did not do that. They followed the rules, and I guess looking at it again in a different perspective, it's understandable. I'm thinking, in my opinion, law enforcement was trying to see, look, at this point they're probably suspects, again in my opinion, and they were trying to understand their demeanor, see if there's anything suspicious, any funny acts, anything, right? So they can so it can be a part of their investigation. And I also want to point out, for those of you that have not seen this, at this point there are family members to the right side, to the left side, and at this point they start, and there's family members and concerned neighbors when they start kind of like speaking a little louder and demanding answers from them. Let's continue.
There was literally a cop with us the whole time in
And
there.
he had sitting down. We would ask him to go help. They had to sit
Said
down.
nope.
He said, "No, we got the best out there.
So
We
it's
need
not.
you guys here in case we have more questions."
I don't want you guys thinking we
don't.
didn't try. We actually
We
looked
tried.
before we called
We
the
looked,
police.
yes.
And I imagine the mind-boggling part is the search for information. What happened? Where are they?
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And
And just so we are able to present the information correctly, at what time did you guys notice your kids went missing, and at what time were they reported missing to the police?
it's about, I believe, I think it was about 4:30, going on 5. It was getting dark, like I said,
Five-ish.
5-ish. That's about it. That's when everything played out.
And then when did you guys call the police to report them missing?
I don't,
After we searched
yeah.
a little bit around here, it was dark, so we definitely.
Another thought that I just had, just by looking at the background of the adoptive parents, I'm not too familiar. I am from California, but I'm not too familiar with this particular area. But what I am looking at is I don't see that many street lights. So I'm wondering, they must not have had a lot of light. So if it was already dark around 4:35, which is the time frame they're claiming, how much could they possibly see? I mean, especially if they're little boys and they're little kids. And I can also see in the background tall bushes. So, and if they're little people, they're little boys, how can you look through those bushes if it's dark outside? Okay, just a thought. Let's continue.
Definitely, we got worried.
Would you say it was maybe within an hour, a couple hours?
No, it was within minutes of us getting finished with our search.
Okay.
It was within minutes.
What do you guys want people at home to understand about this situation? For them, even speaking about what you guys are feeling is difficult. What do you want them at home to understand about this whole situation?
We're going through it. It's difficult. I mean, everybody's making their own their own conclusions. They don't know anything. We don't.
Okay, so Jacqueline stuttered. Assumptions. I'm not going to talk about the stuttering, but this is another example that it's obvious that this couple does not use that big vocabulary. Clearly here when she's stuttering. So, and she's not stuttering because that's a common thing, but it's because it's a word that she really does not use that often. Again, my opinion. Let's continue.
We're not sure like everything. We're not sure. We said what we knew, and if anybody has seen them uh, or anything, please call the police department.
Would you be willing to provide pictures, or do you have any
They,
pictures?
I have older pictures. All my newest were on my phone.
Okay. That's fine.
A lot of people are speaking of this as, after the math passes.
So another point I want to bring out, when she said that all the new pictures on her new phone, it's been over a year now. And I'm pretty sure, again, in my opinion, I can't confirm, but I'm pretty sure she got her phone back. So why have we not seen any new pictures of the boys? Right, Jacqueline? Where are these new pictures that you claim to have and they're on your phone? Again, if you do have them, put them on social media so we can see what are the latest pictures of the boys. Let's continue.
Tense. I want to talk about your kids in present tense. What kind of boys are these? Tell us about the boys.
Very playful, very rambunctious, and they do love to wrestle. They do love to kind of get rough with each
They're
other.
kids.
They're kids. Of course, they would love to go out, but so during the pandemic, we wasn't trying to go, out here. And so
Okay. I have a little concern regarding this statement he just made. So, yes, the whole world went through a pandemic, or we're going through a pandemic, right? But that doesn't mean that we couldn't go to our backyards. That doesn't mean we couldn't play in the front yards, right? It really just meant we need to social distance from each other, wear our masks, and things like this. And I can speak for myself. I would take my kids out on walks with their mask on. So why could they not do that? Why can't the kids even go out in the backyard? If I've seen pictures of the property, and they have a pretty good lot in the back. And it's not like they live in LA where the streets are hustling and bustling. I mean, you're talking about a city that, it's a small city in California, and there's not a lot of traffic. There's not a lot of foot traffic going on. Let's continue.
we stay inside.
Yes.
Yes, we did. We searched before we called the cops.
That's
That's what we were saying.
What time did they come up missing?
They came missing right before it got dark. And then we called. I searched the property. I even drove around this neighborhood right here. I even talked to a gentleman on that side, one of those streets over there. I said, "Did you see some little black kids?"
You go that way looking for them?
That's the way I was gonna come. But when I came back home, I decided to call the cops because it was dark. They couldn't have got away that fast.
And why did it take two people to go in the house and leave two kids out here by themselves? It should have been one parent going in and one parent right here watching the child, not two parents going in the house and leaving two little kids out here by themselves for 10 minutes.
No, they were in the backyard. And the back gate was
open. Out the backyard.
And the back gate was open, and I was getting wood from this lot here.
So you guys been unresponsible, left the gate open, left some little kids outside.
I do want to say that I agree with the lady speaking. I'm not sure if she's a relative or if she's a concerned neighbor, but I agree with her. I mean, even even if they're in their backyard, there's always an adult watching little kids. Now, if they were teenagers, that's something totally different. But when they're 2, 3, 4, and 5 years old, you got to keep an eye on them. There's all kinds of things that can happen. They can, hurt themselves. They can break an arm, break a leg. They can, they find ways to get in trouble. That's why there always has to be a parent there looking at them. And especially in a household that has two, one can be inside doing household work or wrapping paper, wrapping presents, how Jacqueline said she was doing, and he could have been outside. And he didn't necessarily need to take all that wood inside at once. He could have maybe done a little pile on the side of the door, or maybe even have the kids help. Hey, you take one stick and you take, you got to make it in a way where it makes sense. This does not make sense. Let's continue.
With the gate open.
All right. Sorry, you guys were talking about your boys who you're,
I can tell that Drizel got a little bothered. Look at how his blinking starts going crazy. Like he's upset and he doesn't know how to react or he can't really react because he's in front of a camera, he's in front of other people. Just something I just saw. Let's continue.
I understand. For a mother's intuition, I know you were saying, and we'll get your names after this, but you were saying how you feel like they're in this area. Do you feel the same way? And what is the intuition? What is the sense you get? What do you think happened to your boys? Do you think someone took them? Do you think they're lost? Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely know they're not walking around. They're not that kind. They do not just roam around. These patches. They definitely, I think definitely would have been picked up or something.
That was my assumption.
Have they ever taken off of the yard
No.
before?
No,
Nope.
They've never taken off
no.
before?
Yeah, so a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of body language movements that we see, very suspect, my opinion. A lot of unanswered questions, and as of today, like I said, there's been no new updates. They have not given any more interviews. They have not posted anything on social media that would be relevant to finding the boys. Nothing. So, comment below and see what your thoughts are on this and what should happen. I mean, what should the next move be for this family? I do recall the story, and I don't have the information with me now, but I know the rest of the kids were removed and were sent to foster homes. But I'll go ahead and try to find where they're at this point, or if they even returned home. But until then, we'll see each other on the next one.